let me do this little roundup on the weekend's fights. So Josh Warrington against Kid Galahad. It was a stinker of a fight. Really, really poor fight. Josh Warrington, to his credit, was trying to make the best of it, but Kid Galahad was very, very negative, was wrapping him up like an octopus. And one thing I can say to Kid Galahad's credit is he certainly appeared to be a lot physically stronger than either Lee Selby or Carl Frampton. If you compare those fights against Warrington to Galahad's fight against Warrington, Warrington just wasn't able to physically impose himself on Galahad the way he was on the other guys. And again, that's testament, as far as I can see, to Galahad's physical strength. He's a very, very strong featherweight. So, yeah, it was a negative fight by Galahad, a low volume fight. I mean, Warrington did what he could. Warrington really can't bust the grape, and neither can Galahad, really. I was wondering whether Galahad had any kind of power there, because we know Warrington's not the biggest puncher out there, although I think his power is a little underrated. You know, only 6 KOs and 29 wins. It's a little deceptive. He punches a bit harder than that record suggests, but still, he's not a massive puncher at all. And neither really is Galahad. You know, I don't know how many KOs Galahad's got in his record, but all right, 15 out of 26, 26 wins. Yeah, he wasn't really hurting Warrington or, you know, hitting him with anything that damaged his face or noticeably troubled him in any way. So, yeah, it was just a really poor fight, and I was glad it was over, to be honest with you. There was some controversy about the scoring and the decision, and some people saying that Galahad was robbed. I don't think he was robbed. No, not at all. I think it was one of them kind of fights where there was a lot of close rounds, a lot of nip and tuck. Give it to whoever you want. And I really don't care who you give it to, because it was such an awful fight. There was so little action that, you know, I'm completely nonplussed about it. Don't care who you give it to. Warrington retains his belt. That's fine by me. You know, and it really, in many people's eyes, is one of them ones where you can't steal the title from the champion. That's, you know, how a lot of people feel. You can't go to the champion's backyard and hope to spoil and hold, you know, and pot shot with singles here and there and win a title like that in a relatively close fight. That's real, you know, thievery. That's what you're attempting to do. You're attempting to steal something rather than actually go over there and take it. And that doesn't mean you have to go in all guns blazing. It just means that even if you're boxing on the back foot, you have to be more assertive with it. You have to be more decisive with it. But Galahad was very one-paced, very negative. It was just a horrible fight. Josh Warrington and Frank Warren have both said, well, at least Josh Warrington's people, and certainly Frank Warren, has said that he really didn't want the Galahad fight because he knew it was going to be like this. It was going to be an ugly affair, a negative affair, but this was their mandatory. And I can see why. I can see why they didn't want it. So, yeah, that's a fight which is best forgotten. You know, the sooner we can forget about this fight, the better. Moving on to some better fights. Junior Dorticos knocking out Andrew Tabiti. Now, this was a much, much more entertaining contest. Dorticos has always been one of the most fan-friendly cruiserweights out there because he lays it all on the line. He has no regard for going the distance, for winning fights on points. He's always going for the knockout, which is not typical of a Cuban fighter. Strangely enough, Dorticos actually looks like somebody I used to box with back in the days. A Jamaican guy who I used to box with and spar with looks just like Dorticos. It's the strangest thing. It's almost like his doppelganger. Same face, the body shape, his build, everything's just the same. Really strange, but anyway, Dorticos always fan-friendly. Tabiti tried to box through the early part of the fight, you know, employ a lot of holding tactics and whatnot. But Dorticos, like the Terminator, just keeps relentless pressure on you and slinging big punches. And eventually he connected, what round was it? It was in the 10th, with one right hand that Tabiti kind of walked into, because Tabiti was throwing his own right and Dorticos connected with the more accurate shot. And down went Andrew Tabiti and he was out cold. Tabiti, obviously, from the Mayweather gym. And there's a lot of bravado. There's a lot of braggadociousness that comes out of that gym. I wonder how Tabiti is going to feel going back to that gym, given how braggadocious and all that kind of stuff they are over there. Is he going to, get heckled by people in the gym? Probably. And it also, I watched Boxing Beats and Rams video on this fight. He talked about how well certain fighters travel. Did Tabiti travel well against Dorticos? Because again, this really is a thing. Some fighters fight, tremendous in their own backyard, but take them overseas. And it's not necessarily about the opponent who they're fighting overseas. If they fought the same opponent in their backyard, they might have beat that opponent. They might have beat him decisively. They might have knocked him out. But fighting him overseas in an alien environment with a hostile crowd maybe, or just a different commission, a different time zone, they don't feel comfortable. And that not feeling comfortable can result in a poor performance or sometimes even a loss. So that is a real thing. But then you get other fighters like Tyson Fury, for example, who travels very well, who can go to a guy's backyard and it's as if he's fighting in his own backyard. So it all depends on the fighter, and their psychological makeup. Did Tabiti travel well? I don't know. Maybe he just got beat by a guy who would have beat him anywhere. Maybe Dorticos would beat Tabiti in the US, in the Mayweather gym, so on and so forth. So yeah, it was a nice knockout by Junior Dorticos. Always a fan-friendly, value-for-money fighter. Lays it all on the line. He goes into the ring with a mentality of, it's either your face or mine. And we like that. So he will face off against Briedis in the World Boxing Super Series Cruiserweight final. So definitely looking forward to that. And of course, he won the IBF World Cruiserweight title in this fight. Previously, wasn't he the WBA champion? I think he was. Was he WBA champion? Yeah, he was WBA Cruiserweight champion previously. And now he's IBF Cruiserweight champion. So let's see what he can do in the final against Briedis. And as for Briedis' performance against Glowacki, a lot of controversy. There was a punch on the back of the head from Glowacki, which was in the second round, towards the end of the second round. Briedis responded with an elbow to Glowacki's jaw. Glowacki then went down to the canvas and, pulled some theatrics. Eventually got up. Some people saying he wasn't given enough time to recover from the elbow. I personally don't think he was that badly hurt by the elbow. I think he was play acting. The issue I have in this fight is not really with the back of the head punch and the elbow. I think both those infringements were bad, of course. But that was tit for tat. The issue I have is with the referee not calling the round when it should have been called. Because I heard the bell. The bell was going. And at this point, Glowacki had been hurt. I think he'd been down. Was he down in the second? Elbowing in round 2. But he was either down or he was hurt at the end of towards the end of the second round. But the round was allowed to go on far longer than it should have been allowed to go on. And during those extra seconds, Glowacki shipped, a very, very heavy, I think it was right hand, which dropped him heavily. And he went back to his corner far more hurt than he would have been if the referee had called the round and ended it when it was supposed to be ended. So Glowacki's people, as far as I'm concerned, have got every right to be aggrieved about that. When it comes to the elbow and the punch in the back of the head, that's tit for tat. I'm not so concerned about that. I'm more concerned about when the round was ended, because that was real poor form by the referee. There were people at ringside who heard it, who were motioning to the referee to stop the round. I heard it. I think even Maurice Briedis said in his post-fight interview that he heard it. So how could the referee not hear it? And obviously the fighters are going to, you're supposed to actually stop at the bell. So I'm not sure why Briedis didn't. Maybe it was the heat of the moment. Yeah, it is what it is. That's the bit of controversy for me, was the round not being stopped when it should have been stopped. In the third, Glowacki obviously wasn't recovered. Briedis came out and just finished him off. And that was that. Briedis looked very sharp. He looked very good. I know people weren't impressed by his previous couple performances, but in this performance right here, against the former world champion, against someone with, credentials, he looked a lot better. So I will say that. And again, I know some people are going to say it wouldn't have mattered if Glowacki had if round 2 had been stopped when it should have been stopped, Glowacki was going to get knocked out anyway. Well, you say that, but you have to bear in mind that Glowacki has come off the floor to win before. Glowacki was dropped and badly hurt in the Marco Huck fight when he won the WBO Cruiserweight World title. And he managed to survive that knockdown, come back and stop Marco Huck several rounds later. Now, I'm not saying for certain that would have happened against Briedis, but when a guy's got that kind of track record of coming back from a knockdown and, finishing the other guy, to deny him the opportunity to do that, because that's what it was, denying him the opportunity to do that with some very poor refereeing, not stopping the round when it should have been stopped. So he took far more punishment than he should have taken in that round and was far more concussed going back to his corner than he should have been. That obviously is going to make it far more likely that he's not going to get out of the next round, which of course he didn't. So that's my take on that. So yeah, that's the roundup of the weekend's fights. World Boxing Super Series producing again. But when it came to Warrington, Galahad, that was just a real poor fight. I didn't actually see any of the undercard fights. Who did you have on there? All right, nobody who I'd be interested in watching, to be fair. I just can't say I'd be interested in watching any of these guys. Barrett and Woodstock, never been interested in them fighters. Who else was on the World Boxing Super Series? Because I did see the 2 main fights. Other than that, there wasn't anything else on there. There's just the 2 main fights. These guys here, I'm really not familiar with. Maybe this guy's a prospect here, 10-0, 5-0. Yeah, let me know what you guys felt about the weekend's action in the comment section below. Which was your favorite fight? Let me know how you feel about all of them. Let's hammer them out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.